Hey, it's Tpok. I am spinning in my chair right now. Yeah. Back in Katawa Shoujo. I think your mom, your dad might care about you more than he lets on. I know. So then it could be a good idea. No. And then again, more formally, as if for the both of us. No. After coming this far, I can't take a break. A vacation would be jarring. It would be like waking up in a different life. Yesterday was like my vacation, so now we have to go all in. I'm sorry, but that's just how I am. I remember what Yuko said, that she found Shizune brave in a kind of way. I think I understand what she meant, and I have to agree, even though it could also just be called recklessness and foolishness, and pointless stubbornness. I guess you could call it bravery too. However, I can see that there is a fundamental flaw in Shizune's thinking that I hadn't noticed until now. I'm sure that Shizune has reflected longer and more arduously than I could about where she's messed up to create such a bad situation between her and Misha. However, as typical for her, she wouldn't let it hold back and immediately set out to fix the problem. This completely ignores a large part of the problem, Misha herself. Moving from critical introspection to holding Misha up as part of a goal causes the person to get lost in the shuffle. Shizune has said a lot in the past few days, but nothing about how Misha feels. Shizune's way of thinking is abnormal. Few normal people would reject a friend, and then expect things to go back to the way they were so easily. Shizune does because she sees life as, if I had to put it simply, capable of being segmented and compartmentalized. Misha, like anyone else, sees it as a whole experience, a long continuous journey where one moment of heartache can follow you forever. For Shizune, an event is an event, and few of them cross over. Life is compartmentalized around triumphs, failures, and decisions, where each one stands as its own story. It's why the thought of a vacation is jarring to her. It's why she can only appreciate people's immediate emotions. It's exactly how someone obsessed with living in the moment would think, really. Likewise, Shizune can see Misha as a friend, but I doubt that she has ever thought of Misha as anything more until recently, or questioned anything about her. Misha is Misha would be enough for her, even if to Misha it must be unbelievably stifling. Shizune is just Shizune to herself. It's likely she doesn't even think about the after effects of her actions in the long term, as long as they stir up other people's lives. To Misha, though, I'm sure it made her seem almost heroic, like Yuko admiring her bravery and even myself. And Shizune's thoughts on that sentiment are that it was good she could touch someone's life. But it ends there. It's easy to captivate, much harder to nurture. On to the next thing. Thinking of life in terms of almost completely isolated events has a tendency to isolate a person too. Though she's trying to remedy it now, the point remains. There's simply no way Shizune could have avoided hurting Misha. Her emotional investment in Shizune was something Shizune couldn't account for, so she didn't. Combined with her personality, it was inevitable. Both of them have pretty much told me all of that in bits and pieces over the past couple of months I've known them. In the middle of considering their differences, an idea begins to take shape in my mind. Are you working on your plan right now, this second? Your cheer up Misha plan? Of course, I was thinking about it the whole time I was being yelled at. Flicking her glasses up the bridge of her nose with an oddly triumphant air, she taps her finger against her temple. It's multitasking. Really? Isn't it more like you were able to concentrate on something like that because you can't hear? Well, whatever. When I ask her what she thinks of mine, it turns out we've both arrived at a similar idea. Hopefully that idea is just show up at Misha's place. Dorm. Does she live in a dorm? Is Shizune her roommate? Because that'd be really awkward if it was. Although it makes me feel kind of uneasy since we're talking about a human being, the first step is to corner Misha. though the situation is a little too much like something out of a cop drama for me. It's come to this because talking to her normally is proving to be near impossible. But we do have class together, even the very first class of the day. Although it takes a while for the announcement to come, the second I hear that we're going to be working in groups today, Shizune and I try to make sure Misha is in ours. You know, I think Mattel assigns a suspiciously large amount of group work and self-study, don't you think so? But it's easy, so it's okay, right? Yeah? There's other stuff I've been thinking about lately that might not be okay, though. Misha nods after each sentence, then brushes it all aside. I thought about it, and I don't do enough work when I work with you and Shi-chan, so I'm going to try harder today, so don't distract me, Hi-chan. I have to stay focused. That was an annoyingly transparent dodge. Shizune doesn't look too happy either, since Misha didn't bother to sign any of it, opting to twirl a pen in her hands instead. From the shaky way she was doing it, I'm sure it was that she wouldn't sign anything inadvertently. From the way Misha looks, distracted and uneasy, I doubt it's because she wants to keep Shizune out of the loop for any malicious reason, although it's still obviously a way of distancing herself from Shizune. Shizune wants to talk to you. Can't it wait until later, Hi-chan? No. Why not now? We're in the middle of class? Now she's spinning a pen in each hand. I'm beginning to think her signing has turned into a kind of nervous tic for her. This isn't a good replacement, although the sight of her dual wielding is pretty impressive. After class, then. After class, I don't wait a second bringing it back up. As everyone else files out of the classroom, leaving the three of us alone, Misha takes increasingly longer glasses in every direction except forward. Do you want to get something to eat? Why do you and Shi-chan keep asking me if I want to eat something, Hi-chan? Because we're all headed to the cafeteria and we haven't eaten together in a long time, so why not? Is this about the student council? Taking Shizune's lack of reply as admission, Misha sighs. Shi-chan, is that all you ever think about? Before Shizune can reply, she leaves. I have to say, I'm not left feeling very confident after what's just happened. Neither of us were expecting it to go smoothly, but it would have been nice. Reading my mind, Shizune curls a finger around her glasses for a while before signing. I know what you're thinking, but no, it's not that. I think we should give her some space now. I told you I wouldn't give up so easily. Yeah, well, now I'm starting to wonder if it's not too soon. Cold feet? Well, I'm not going to. That would be giving up on her. Okay, Shizune, you kind of did give up on her already. I think Shizune is like almost 100% in the wrong right now. Like, she should apologize, yes. But, like, Misha's suppression is like 100% Shizune, I guess. Because it's exactly what Hisao was talking about with the segment of life and whatever. That was spot on. There's a fine line between helping someone and smothering them. But I want Misha to pull herself together and stop acting so weird. I know she can do it. Even if she wants to try, people don't change overnight. If they could, the world would be a much easier place. Okay, you win. Then I guess this is the part where we split up and look for her. I yawned. Though I'm the only one who's really supposed to find her. If I run into her first, I'll call your cell phone. Smiling, Shizune takes out her cell phone, turning it on to prepare. I notice that she has an extremely high number of unread messages, and looking at her expression, so does she. Twirling it around by the strap a couple of times, she grimaces. I don't like using this thing. Why can't I just snap my fingers? And then what? I'm not a dog. It doesn't travel as far as a phone signal. You're having a lot of fun with this, aren't you? Shaking her head from side to side, she continues. It's obvious where she will go. You can't look for her on the school grounds. She would go as far away as she can. Check the tea shop? It's usually empty this early. Misha loves to go there if she feels like skipping class. And she loves the parfaits they have there. You really know a lot about her. But she would overthink it and turn it into something that would seem a lot more backhanded than it actually is, so I choose to just nod and leave instead, until I feel her holding onto my sleeve. What? I say instinctively, forgetting that she can't hear me. It feels nice that I don't have to do it all by myself anymore because I can trust you. I'm really happy. It makes me happy to hear it. I can't think of a way to respond and end up only nodding again. Oh, there she is. Heading outside, I catch a glimpse of pink hair behind some other girl's head. And as I head that way, I realize that this isn't the way to go if you want to leave school. It's the way to the student council room. If I wanted to avoid Shizune, I wouldn't head there. It's strange that Misha would be going in that direction then. Maybe she wants to talk things over with Shizune. In which case, I have to wonder if letting things play out naturally would be such a bad idea after all. Especially if it seems to be going in a good direction. Suddenly, Misha stops and spins around, catching me by surprise. Surprise, Hee-chan, were you looking for me? I had a feeling. I was gonna say, hey, I was just looking for you, but I suppose that's no good now. She isn't finished with her sentence before she blows past me, heading for the exit. I have to admit that Misha's infuriatingly sharper than I'd expected. Also surprisingly fast. Although it's more physical activity than I think I should be getting, I managed to catch up with her halfway to the gate. You're really being the rudest woman in the world right now. Can you just stop trying to run away for a second? I want to talk to you. Misha turns on her heel, looking mildly amused, and raises her hands as if to tell me to go on. Now that I've got her attention, though, it's hard to think of the right thing to say. Where are you going now? To Shanghai. Can I go with you then? Waiting for her to answer feels like an eternity. It's almost as if she can hear my wristwatch ticking off the individual seconds. Okay then, Hee-chan. I get the sense that she only agreed because she doesn't want to argue anymore today. When we get there, a couple comes in after us, causing Misha to jump slightly at the noise. Seeing that it isn't Shizune, she relaxes again, smiling almost as usual to order a parfait from Yuko, and sliding into the nearest booth. You ran off too fast. You could have at least waited to see what she was going to say. Misha's angry reactions tells me it could have been that she was afraid of what Shizune might say. Why are you both doing this, Hee-chan? Because Shizune still wants to be your friend. I guess that for her it's kind of like launching a nuclear missile from a submarine. You need 2 keys to do it. What else can she do, though? She isn't automatically signing whatever she hears or says anymore, and I'm sure that is the reason Shizune is having so much trouble with her. If she tried to just talk it over, you wouldn't listen. Misha's guilty expressions tells me I've hit the mark. Do you really hate Shizune that much? No, Hee-chan, I told you that. She answers without even flinching, idly playing with a spoon. Yeah, I know. I'm sure she knows it too, but I wonder if it might be easier if you did. The only thing she's really thought about for the last week is how to make you happy, since Shizune is still attached to you. Yesterday, though, she thought that maybe it would be easiest for you if you just hated her. Since you didn't tell her you hated her, Shizune thinks you can both still be friends. She's like that, only thinking in extremes. Her parfait is starting to melt, the ingredients coming together in tiny rivers that remind me of the growing roots of a tree being shown through time-lapse photography. That's stupid. Shi-chan isn't that stupid, He-chan. Don't be ridiculous. It's got nothing to do with intelligence. Smart people can do stupid things. And anyway, isn't it true? I was terrified last week when we talked, but at the end I was relieved because it sounded like things might go back to normal. I wasn't expecting you two to have a fight right after. It wasn't a fight, He-chan. It was just me yelling at her. I've noticed that Misha's voice never really changes in tone, just volume. It's so low with guilt that I can hardly believe it came from her. Either way, I was happy because I thought you and her could still be friends, since she needs you. No, she doesn't, He-chan. So, how do you know that? There's a lot of things Shizune doesn't vocalize, say, talk about. I'm afraid if I say the wrong thing, it'll ruin the mood. My dog is barking. You can probably hear him. I get to finally have a conversation with her, and I don't want to screw it up. I wonder if this is the first time she's had an honest conversation with me. Just because she doesn't tell you doesn't mean she doesn't like you. That doesn't make sense. Yes, it does. Otherwise, she would argue back. What? You don't think so? She picks fights with everyone, so why not you? Obviously, because you're her friend and she values you. And Shizune is hurt too. She's just awful at showing her feelings. Usually does it the wrong way too, but she still likes you. He-chan, do you remember when I said I didn't want to hate Shi-chan or upset her? The truth is, I ended up doing both. Now there's like an awkwardness between us. It's hard to explain. Both of you are so stubborn. You were talking about how you didn't want to drift apart from Shizune, but then you're going to let it happen. And Shizune is just as bad. She wants to be your friend, but respects you too much to be as aggressive as she'd be with anyone else. And I'm sure that Misha interprets Shizune giving her space as a lack of caring. I screwed up already, He-chan. It'll happen again, I'm sure. When I think about it that way, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. It feels like either way I'll end up making things worse. Then it might be better if I didn't do anything at all, right? Don't be ridiculous. Why would you even think that way in the first place? Be more positive. It should be easy for you, I want to say, but that would be presumptuous. He-chan, I never knew you were so optimistic. I never expected it. You always act so gloomy when I try and surprise you. No, this is a recent thing. Really, I just hate it when people give up easily now. Haha. Now, huh? It makes me mad when people give up. I used to think that giving up was kind of like running away, since that's how people always describe it. But now that I think about it, it's usually more like throwing something away. When you run away from something, you can think of it as still being there. So, I was in the hospital, and I didn't just want to run away from my problems, I wanted to never think about them again. Misha eats a spoonful of her gray ice cream goo. Does she only just remember it was there now, or could it be she likes it that way? Anyway, my point is you can't do that. People are too sentimental to just throw their memories out like that. It's impossible. Shizune can't think of life in terms of anything but winning and losing. Don't you think she wishes she didn't have to remember the parts where she loses? You can't pick and choose though. That's like wanting to live in a bubble. The worst part is, your way of thinking is so wasteful. It's making you so pessimistic you're afraid of everything. Come on. I grab her hand as I wave Yuko over with the other to pay our food. Where are we going now? Back to school before lunch is over, but I want to check out a few places before then. Although I start feeling tired even after doing what could be described as on the level of a brisk jog at best, Misha and I eventually make it to the gate of the school with a little over 10 minutes to spare. I didn't even really want to come to this school, you know? I didn't have a choice. When I got to this gate, I'm sure part of me was thinking, what a depressing place. What pompous place. It doesn't look depressing at all, though. Well, I still thought I had everything figured out. I felt practically like another person. If I could, I'd go back and tell myself to stop thinking he can write everything off at a glance, and acting like his life is already over, and he can never have fun again. The school grounds are still littered with quite a few people. It's lunchtime, so it's typical. This is where you and Shizune had me helping you put together 2 festivals. What a lot of hard work. I thought, I don't have time for this. When I look back on it, though, I didn't do all that much. I also didn't have anything better to do. I'd have just spent the time alone. I drag her to our homeroom next, which is empty except for Matao trying to eat a sandwich before classes resume. Every time I thought of either of you, I wished you would leave me alone, whether it was here or... Leaving Matao to his lunch, we head for the nearby vending machine, and I grab a soda while I still have 5 minutes to drink it. I've spent an entire lunch period with Misha, longer than both Shizune and I have managed to talk to her in days. Following me to the cafeteria or trying to corner me after half my classes. I'm gonna pause and then resume. So, yeah. Parfait is the current scene, so thanks for watching.